Hi, I'm from Alberta in Canada, and I found the results very interesting, especially the comparison between the Welsh and the French. But I'm wondering if, and again, I'm just thinking about this as a chemist, whether you've done a control experiment, look at whether the pool that you have in France and the pool that you have in Welsh may be more inclined to be more polarized or less polarized in the responses, and how that might influence your results.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done the control, that's absolutely right. I mean, this is really a pilot, a toe in the water to see what's going on here, and it's a very good issue. I mean, the whole study merits a much more rigorous experimental design and to try and find some way of testable hypotheses about this. I think what we have to recognize as well is that France has a much greater population and much more space, and so environmental issues and the impacts of such are not quite as obvious. Although in the area that I've been working in, it has a very similar background to Wales. It has a declined, the demise of the industrial legacy left behind of textiles and mining, and of course it's played host to 2 world wars. And so what we've got there is a lot of deprivation and degraded environmental degradation as well. Wales has this, certainly, but it has had a longer track record of trying to address these problems. And so whether or not the population is academically educated towards it, they have worked towards it and are part of working towards restoration and reclamation. So these social backgrounds, I agree, we need to look at the fabric against which these responses are being made.
I guess age might be another one that once you make that transition around 20 or 21, there is a certain change in maturation of thought processes that some literature has shown, and that might be another confounding factor, maybe.
Yes, I mean, I think that's why I was interested in the Welsh data set going from 16 to 20,
Yeah,
20
exactly.
to 21 to 40 plus. And I suppose it might be quite interesting, although I think I know what I would find if I went from 41 up to maybe 70. You might find a decline in interest in this, as to say, well, that's all well and good, but we're interested in jobs, but the environment comes second. So the economic arguments aren't really been fully examined here at all.
Yeah, I think it's a very rich subject for study.
You do?
Yeah.
How does it relate to, for instance, your part of Canada? I mean, is this a relevant? The impacts I can perceive are agricultural, perhaps, but I'm not sure about them.
That's a really loaded question.
Oh, the tar sands.
Definitely there are environmental issues in all different parts of Canada, and the oil sands are the big ones in Alberta. We have a very different secondary education culture. We don't talk about those issues as much, maybe, as you do. We have a unit in the high school curriculum called Science, Technology, and Society, which tries to bring in some of those issues to the science curriculum. And even less at post-secondary education level. And so, actually, one of the things we're trying to do more at the university level is to integrate, as we talked about during a couple of sessions, sciences with the idea of citizenship and how some of the perspectives you can gain from science can help in the citizenship side. So trying to address one of your first points about bringing this sort of citizenship back into the science even more.
Yeah, I mean, there does seem to be happened a polarization between the sciences and philosophical studies and sociological studies, and I think largely scientists are slightly responsible for this. They will discover the technology, they will discover the new processes, but won't take responsibility for how that's going to be employed. And I think that we are slightly guilty of that. I mean, not everybody, but in part.
Yeah, I would agree in part.
But then the key point really, which maybe I skirted through it a bit too quickly, but the key point really is the issues of citizenship. Most people find the role of science in that quite obscure. My contention is the fact that without a basic scientific literacy, you're excluded from the elements of citizenship, which after all, participating in the debate is one of the principal aspects of citizenship. And of course, when you discuss that in France, it becomes a different matter because they're very strong. They're very much more politically aware than we are. And so citizenship, if you feel about something about it, you do something about it. So I feel that more needs to be done to emphasize the importance of science and the role of science in local citizenship. But maybe if I just, where are we going? Yeah. Some of the questions that I had about this were, is it the way that we teach science that that is operative here? I mean, are we being too didactic about it? Are we being too isolated about it? And of course, referring back to the Science 100 is great because, I mean, this holistic approach, I think, is what's needed. But it needs to be taught in context. And the problem with that, of course, is how does a busy, overloaded curriculum sustain that for the student as well as the lecture? And so what we have also there, though, is, and we have our approach to science teaching in schools at Key Stage 3 and 4 is a policy called 21st Century Science. And I feel that what's being focused on there is the pupil as researcher. And when we get into the realms of science in ESDGC, once it's cooking well, whether it be a school pupil or a university student, there's an equality there in terms of ideas between the lecturer and the student, because they have insights that you perhaps might not have. And so I think with a very starter knowledge, we can get a lot of productive dialogue going between student and tutor.